How you doing, guys? My name is Carlos. I have a small fabrication business called Tac One Fabrication, and I am going to be unboxing this 2x72 belt grinder. I don't do a lot of guys that use these 2x72 belt grinders make knives. I don't make knives. I do fabrication work. I work a lot with tubing. In fact, I'm working on a off-road buggy chassis right now. And I really wanted the 2x72 belt grinder to prep tube that comes off of the CNC plasma tube cutting machine. I need to be able to prep the tube, get it ready for welding, get all the dross off and that nitrided edge that the plasma creates when it cuts the tubing. And then I also will be using it for other general fabrication like plate work, stuff like that. Anything that comes off of the plasma table, it needs to be cleaned up, and I really felt like the 2x72 belt grinder was the way to go. I was over at a friend of mine's about 2 months ago, and he had one, and that just basically sealed the deal. So I started looking more. I had been looking for one of these for well over a year and doing research and trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to do a DIY kit, whether I wanted to buy one that was all set up and ready to go. Of course, the pricing on these goes from a very affordable to very, very expensive. So follow along with me. I'll take you on the journey. I'm going to go ahead and unbox this, what I got here, and we'll go from there. So here we go. Everything in this kit was extremely well packed. You can see that it was all wrapped in the cellophane plastic wrap, and the box was full of those styrofoam popcorn packing pieces. I was really impressed by the way it was packed, and had little handles on the side so you could pick it up and carry it around. And right there I discovered there was a few parts that I had missed. So well, okay, so this is what we got. We have the Torus CNC 2x72 belt grinder. You can see it was very well packed. There's still quite a bit of unpacking I got to do yet. The package came in, excellent condition. All the popcorn, packing popcorn and everything was in there, keeping this all in great shape. I did buy the optional small wheel tooling attachment because I need to be able to get inside radiuses of the tubing, the cope cuts on the tubing. You know, I researched these, like I said, for quite a while, and it came down to I was okay with having to assemble it myself, but I didn't want to have to weld the thing together. Honestly, I do enough welding and fabrication. I didn't want to have to weld and fabricate the belt grinder. And there was some options out there that were a little bit less expensive, and I still think they were probably a very good quality product. But the thing is this guy Rich, I had narrowed it down to 2 grinders, and the one website I went to, they didn't have a phone number. I couldn't call and talk to somebody. And I was on Etsy one night, and I started looking, and I noticed there was a grinder on there that I hadn't seen before. And I'd been on Etsy off and on looking at DIY build it myself plans, because I have all the tools here. I have a plasma table. I have everything here. I could build my own. The one thing I don't have is I don't have 3/8 plate, and a lot of these are designed with 3/8 plate. I have plenty of tubing. I've got all kinds of other stuff, but anyway, I'm rambling. Getting back to what I was going to say. The one grinder brand, we'll just call it brand A. I had added the grinder to my cart several times on their website, but I still had questions. I was going to buy a grinder with just a fixed speed motor, and without the variable frequency drive, the 3-phase motor, variable speed. And the one thing, when I went over to my buddies, one thing I didn't like about it was when you swap belts, and if stuff was just a little bit off kilter, yeah, you can rotate the whole thing by hand and make sure it's sort of tracking right. But once you switch that switch on, and if that thing is not tracking correctly, that belt just jumps right off of there, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So, like I say, I was on Etsy, and I saw this Torus CNC grinder, and I'm like, what's this? So I start looking, and it turns out they make them in stainless steel frames. They make them in aluminum frames, I believe, and they make a more budget-friendly mild steel frame, and that's what I got here. But the thing that sold me on this deal was I go to the website toruscnc.com, and there's a phone number. I call the phone number and Rich picks up. Like, that's a novel idea, right? There's a phone number and somebody's there that actually picks up and willing to answer all my questions. And so that's what sold me on the deal. It was a little more expensive than the other grinder, especially by the time I bought the motor and the variable frequency drive, but there are budget-friendly options for that as well. I didn't get the super expensive VFD, and I didn't get a super expensive motor. I think the motor is a Vavor brand. I bought it on Amazon. I'll make sure I put links in the description to all the parts I got. And you can go to the Amazon store and buy it off the link directly. I do get a little kickback for that. But anyway, so Rich was very friendly. I think we had a 20-minute conversation. He answered all my questions and concerns, because I'm the kind of guy that wants to ask questions. I want to be able to talk to somebody. Not always, but sometimes with something like this, you know, you're spending, I don't know what I ended up spending on this. I think about $1,500 total. You want to get all your answers, all your questions answered, and you want to make sure that you're making a good investment for the tool. I kind of say buy once, cry once. I mean, buy the best that you can afford when it comes to these type of tools at the time. And you just want to make sure you're getting a good value. And the fact that Rich answered the phone and was willing to answer all my questions put my mind at ease about some of the things that I was questioning, especially, you know, like the variable frequency drive versus a fixed speed motor, the different belt options, the different types of belts, and then also the fact that, you know, he's got a full set of videos on how to assemble the machine. This whole machine's bolt together. There's no welding required. Comes with all the hardware, and then in the box, full set of instructions on how to assemble the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and unbox all this. I'm going to get all the parts laid out. I was considering painting the frame. Painting is not my thing. I am not a painter. Every time I paint something, I end up disappointed. So I think what I might do is just clear coat everything. I think I'm going to run a DA sander over everything, which it doesn't need it. I mean, everything's really well cleaned up. There's some sharp edges on here. This is all laser cut. It's obvious this is all laser cut. There's some sharp edges in here. I might just go ahead and deburr these real quick. And it's a hot day outside, so I might just clear coat this. I mean, why not? So this is going to be part one of the video. I'm going to go ahead and clear coat this. I'm going to go ahead and work on assembly. And I think part two, I'm going to make a stand for this. I have very little room in my shop, and I love to have all my big tools on casters so I can move them around, take them to the area I need to use them. So I think part two of this, I'm going to go ahead and build a stand, a mobile stand for the whole grinder assembly and the extra tooling arm. Make sure there's storage on there, maybe belt storage, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and unbox all this, and I'll lay out all the parts, and we'll go from there. All right, so we got all the parts unboxed, and this grinder is, like I said, it's the mild steel version of the grinder. He sells 3 different versions, I believe. One's stainless, one's mild, and one is all aluminum. No matter what, I believe, and Rich, if you're watching this, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, you're going to get a combination of steel, unless you get obviously the all aluminum version. You're going to get a combination of stainless steel, and aluminum.
there are a lot of parts that are built out of aluminum. This is like 3/8 thick aluminum. The other thing that I forgot to mention was that Rich has a very unique belt tensioning system. It's this ratcheting belt tensioning system, which I was very intrigued by, because the majority of the other designs use a spring or a gas strut, gas spring. So anyway, so you can see there's only 4 major parts here that are mild steel. Not 4, 5, I can't count. 5 major parts here that are mild steel. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these up a little bit and clear coat them, and then we'll get to building this.
All right, so now that we have everything unboxed, I cleaned up and clear coated the steel parts. I'm going to go ahead and start assembling this. I'm just going to do a time lapse of the assembly. I'll include a link in the description on the video that Rich has posted on YouTube on a full assembly. And in fact, there's a QR code to that video in the instructions here. So not only do we have, a paper instruction manual, but I'm going to go ahead and follow along on YouTube here. I got a TV here in the shop too as I get this assembled. So here we go. There really isn't any special tools needed to assemble the grinder. You definitely need a way to screw in Allen head screws, either the T-handled manual style, or I have just a bit set that I can use with a 1/4 inch or 3/8 drive ratchet, and I'd get the bolts started and just use my impact driver. The other thing that you need that you may not have is some blue Loctite, and in the video instructions, Rich recommends using the blue Loctite pretty liberally on just about everything you assemble. There's a few bolts that have nuts on the backside, but most of the bolts go into a blind tapped hole in either the steel, or for the most part in the aluminum. So it's handy to have that blue Loctite, just because the machine vibrates quite a bit. So, and although the grinder comes with printed directions on how to assemble it, I'd highly recommend you just follow Rich's YouTube video. You can see here while I'm assembling it, I stop and start it. I'm looking over to the right where the TV is, and it's just really handy to have, to be able to just stop it, rewind it, and see what he did. And it's just, it really was helpful. Well, there you have it, guys. It took me, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes to an hour to put this together. I was just watching the video, following along, pausing, rewinding. Had to get out some of the tools, short walk over to the toolbox, but went together really easy. Everything's very precision cut. All the hardware is high quality hardware. I'm very impressed by the way he's designed this. A couple extra bolts. I assume these 4 bolts are for the motor mount bolts. These ones here, probably to bolt the whole assembly or the whole grinder down to a bench. And then these came with the small wheels for the platen here, and he didn't reference installing these washers and or longer or shorter aluminum spacers, so I left them off. I'm assuming that's for if your motor has a different offset, depending on what motor you run. You've got to offset everything this way. I'm not sure. There's probably an extra spacer in there for the tensioning wheel. Anyway, but there you have it. Really easy to put together. Very impressed with the precision of the grinder and the precision of the parts. Now I'm going to go ahead and unbox the
motor and get that installed.
This particular motor that I purchased has two mounting options. It can mount on the face of the motor with 4 bolts, or it can mount via the base plate. And the base plate is held on by 6 Allen head screws, and I went ahead and took the base plate off just because it was interfering with the grinder design. And so that's something you might want to consider doing. You might have to do that depending on what motor you get. You probably want to do that.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We've got the machine all assembled, got the motor mounted. I went ahead and tested the tracking just briefly by hand rolling a belt on here, and I'm really excited to finish this thing up. This ratcheting tensioning system is really cool. Anyway, I couldn't be happier so far. So next episode, we're gonna test out the small wheel attachment, see what that's all about, and we're gonna get this thing wired up. This is what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to make a stand on the plasma table. It's gonna be a roll around stand. I'll throw up a picture of kind of the design here. I just need to get the dimensions of the base here so I know how big of a plate to mount it to. And this is a very inexpensive, purchased on Amazon VFD. I've seen this in other videos. I'm gonna mount the VFD in this ammo can because the VFD is not sealed, and if you don't seal these things up, they don't live very long with all the grinding dust. And then on top of that, I'm going to mount the control panel to this little 3D printed remote panel. I've got an extension cord for the control panel, so the VFD will be down below somewhere. That's kind of what I'm picturing. And the controller will be up near me. So anyway, yeah, this has been really cool, really fun to put together, and hopefully you guys join me on the next one, and we'll do a full test on it and check out the small wheel attachment and see what that's all about, see how that works, and get this thing finished up. So we'll see you on the next one.